Today we're looking at the 2019 World Cup Mixed Open Gold Medal match.
Oh, how about that? It's even better.
Count of the man, count of the hour.
That is sensational.
Okay, 2019 World Cup. It's between Australia and New Zealand in the Mixed Open division. I thought it'd be very appropriate to do a World Cup game because the upcoming World Cup is only about 2 weeks away. So let's see how this goes. And it looks like we've got the first try. This does get disallowed, but we will go through it anyway because it's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It's World Cup standard. So let's have a look. Okay, so it looks like we've got an ML platform. And I'll back it up just so we can go through an ML because we never know who actually hasn't seen any of these plays. Okay, so we have a middle, and it's very clever what they've done as far as mixed goes, but let's go through the play first. It's like a middle dump. So you're going to dump on the middle. You're going to split open side and then straighten up into your hole. This guy here is your link, and he's going to be running onto the ball with the attempt to beat the offside player, which is what most plays in touch football are going to be like. You just want to be able to attack that vulnerable offside player. The dummy half will then wrap around. And then all of a sudden you have hole, 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 because this player here will pull corner. And that should allow you to step back in and play the 4-on-3. And what's clever with this is because it's mixed, they actually got their girl player to be the dummy half. And then she wraps around to be on the short side, which does allow them to have two boys. Okay, well, two boys and a girl against one boy and one girl. All right, so it's a nice play. It's a nice play, and what's topped it off is a sinker pass. So you can see this boy here, the link defender getting up nice and high in that channel. The winger is very deep, so instead of trying to rip the pass across the face to their link, which it'll just get taken as an intercept, they do the sinker ball, which is over the top and kind of in behind. Very clever pass. It really didn't look like it was forward at all on the video, but anyway, lucky call for Australia, so let's continue. A very, very similar looking pass, but the lead up, I think it just looked like a middle. Yep. Very, very common play, especially these days, is middle. So two middles are in the ruck. I do have a video on this. We can call it a 33 scoop. We compare it to a 32 scoop. This middle here will pull corner this way because that's his short side. Now, a lot of teams, they might have different styles of defense. They might have different policies. This guy's turned in, which for your standard team, that's probably the wrong way. You want to be turning so your chest is facing the camera because otherwise it's going to be a very hard corner to pull without completely turning your back to the ball or to the ruck, and you'll lose sight of actually what's happening. But again, we step open side and straighten up. That way the dummy half can attack that offside player. So there's the touch. See how he's flipped himself around? So that's good. He's recovered. However, just if he got to that shape before making the touch, if he got to that shape now, probably a lot easier than having to do a full 180. Okay? And he's turned his hips, so we step. That's that. And look, that's the idea of attacking that offside player, is because when you're running backwards so hard, it's really too difficult to change angles. So all you have to do is go from dummy half. You go one side, you step back the open, and then everyone else can just start running holes. And it's the most basic play in touch football. You just get it down for someone, and you attack the offside player. And we've obviously just picked the right option, which is the link hole. And again, I've got a video about running the perfect hole. Check that one out because it really helps get those lines right. Not perfect, but it'll help you as a starting point. So it looks like New Zealand hit back. Sweeper with a double touch. I actually haven't watched this game probably since 2019 when it came out on online. So I do have a little chuckle when this play happens. Okay, so we have a sweeper. Now, firstly, the idea of your standard sweeper is you give the pass here. Sometimes I usually, like if I'm coaching, I just always give this player the ball. I don't worry about that extra pass. But they dive in to the inside shoulder of their opposing middle. Again, exactly the same roll ball as the middle or the ML or the 33 peel that we've just seen. And they're going to step back in towards the other middle, with this sweeper being able to attack that vulnerable player. However, that doesn't go to plan because Australia's defensive policy is double touch. So the other middle has read this sweeper, and now we want to send that sweeper into an onside player. So you can see this middle dropping back, so he can deal with the sweeper a lot better and they can go man on. So you're looking at Australia, they've thought ahead, but what's happened here is New Zealand have then thought even one step further ahead. Like we call touch football a chess match. They've actually foreseen that Australia was probably going to try and double touch, and they've made it on the it's the inside shoulder still. You can just see how he's dumped this ball. And Australia is still going to pull corner. That's just what's in their nature. So because he's pulling corner, the person that's dumped the ball isn't going to split very hard. All he's going to do is make sure that he gets in the way and allows nothing to be able to defend on the inside of him. So he's kind of, we call it a fridge or a block, because just imagine putting a fridge there. It's very hard to get around. So he's dumped on that inside shoulder and he just sort of held his line. And because the other defender is manning on, he's going to take him away from this fridge and basically open up a hole in the middle. So I'm not actually quite sure what it's called. We usually just call it a sweeper with a trail or something like that, but it's just all about the subtle body position of the person dumping the ball and being able to sort of just run forward into that channel that the defender would want to get on the inside. So you can let me know in the comments if you think this is a little bit illegal. But look, I've read the rules regarding an obstruction, and a player attempting to make a touch cannot be obstructed. But can you attempt to make a touch if you're offside? That's the question. So can you be obstructed if you're offside? One of the referees out there should let me know that. Anyway, we'll continue. But it's just a very good talking point, a play like that, because it happens, those little block plays. So we're seeing a lot of this in this game with those passes. They're getting in behind those defenders. Now, we'll get to it in a second, but what's good is we've got one person making the touch and everyone else is getting back on side, which is good. And it just looks like a standard middle play. It doesn't look like anything special is happening. But you can see he stepped in. Okay, and it's something to keep in mind. You always step in when you're going down for a middle, step out going down for a link. Whatever gets them in front of the offside player. But there is a big gap between the two players, so it's very hard to beat them. And it was just a bit of a sort of a relaxed setup. But here's the big step there. And you can see we've sort of just got this guy wrong-footed, and everyone else can run their holes. Now, last touch, I'm a bit against coming up or holding this far out from the line. Like, I would be backpedaling a little bit inside the 7. I know, like, you're letting the team run, but it'll also allow your defender to recover. Like, all that there, that's your friend. Like, the space of the field you can use as a 7th defender. So backpedal a little bit, absorb that play and allow your middle to recover. Because while he's chasing, if that half can get through and you don't knock, and like as this middle, you don't knock that off, once these guys get through the line, they're all clear. Because as a defender, it's just too hard to turn around and chase that. And I do have a video, I'm referencing a lot of my videos here. There's a video I have when to let the dummy half run, and it's never between the two middles. And that's why, because once these guys break through the line, the front line, they're all in the clear. And it's just pick one and pass it to them. In that case, it was just a short ball that was on. So New Zealand are up. But, yeah, if I remember correctly, this was an absolute cracker of a game. So just have a sweeper. And I really like, this is actually really good. I don't even remember this one, but just looking at it now, this is really nice. And I wish I used it as an example on another video now that I'm watching it. All right, so we've got the inside shoulder. Once again, just like every other try assist for this one. And here comes the sweeper to attack, guess who? The offside player. Now, it doesn't actually matter. Whenever you get... well, it does for this one, sorry, because there's a sweeper. But if you're just running a middle, and you manage to make the touch and jam both middles, it actually doesn't matter which way you split. Because regardless, the dummy half's going to pick up into offside players. So if you can do that, that's brilliant. So this one, we've got a sweeper. So yes, we still want to sweep away from where the sweeper's coming, because otherwise they will just run into the back of you, and you don't want that. You'll just that can cause some injury. But anyway, let's have a sweeper coming around here. Now, notice how this player has looked like he wants to then take the play back to the or in this case it's the open side, but we normally just refer to it as the short side. And these defenders are reading that, and they're starting to prop to chase because it's a very successful play going against the grain there. And the sweeper's curled around as well. There's a lot of curly arrows on this one. But what Australia have done is as soon as they get planted feet, he then, well, his line came around and then he quickly bounces out. And it's a really subtle change, but as soon as you get your defenders flat-footed, you can get around them pretty easily. And that's what's happened here. The Lynx made a good read there, and it's actually quite close whether she makes the touch, but the middle was... Well, we say it was cooked, but it's very hard. Like it's hard being an offside middle, especially when you've got really quality lines coming at you, run by those attackers. So let's watch the sweeper. Let's just keep our eye on him. He comes around, he hooks a little bit, and then he bounces out. Very nice little maneuver there on the sweeper, and that's something we talk about. The difference between a good and a great sweeper is just that little in and away. And making your defender that's offside, making their job as hard as possible. Okay, New Zealand with the ball again. I got another sweeper. This is a tough one. And one thing that I've never really been confident in myself when I'm coaching teams is how to do a dive, because I've never been a diver myself. All I know is you want to press the ball down early and push the ball forward rather than jump. And you want to do it as fast as you can at the offside player's feet. This defender here has actually done a really good job. I'm going to treat this like a bit of a defensive thing now for a sweeper, because in my opinion this was a touch unless the player's offside. So let's look at it from a defensive point of view, because we've all seen a sweeper. We've got enough on sweepers. So we have two middles here, and we're imagining this is a 7 metre line. I can't remember if they actually used 7 or 5 back then. They've got to that 7 metre line really quickly, which is great, because anything further now that they go out past that 7, they don't actually have to hit the line. This might be the 5 metre rule, so if they've been asked to hit the line here, it's because it's the old interpretation of the defensive line. But now it's 7 metres regardless of where the play the ball is. So if you make it 8 out, you have to stop one. Well, you can stop 1 metre from the line, and it really takes away the dive, because you can't score if someone only has to get 2 metres from the line. So that's good. And then we have one defender going out and being brave, we call, and everyone else is still sort of getting that good pre-touch and getting back to the line. So you really want one person out there. Obviously, someone's got to make the touch, but everyone else can start getting into position to defend the next play as early as you can, which is what happens here. And you can see those two middles are nice and tight. The sweeper comes around, and we want these players to step forward. not only does that make it harder to pass back this way, but stepping forward will also stop diving or dropping at your feet. And that's why I think this is a touch, because he gets off the line there. Had he been calling that from standing on the line, I can fully understand that being a try, unless he was told to make 2 feet on the line, but only got 1 foot. I'm not sure. Another sweeper. So kind of like a sweeper quarterback. It's a bit of a slow quarterback, but it still works. So a quarterback come from the term quickie back, which, well, yeah, so it was originally called quickie back. So you run a quickie and it was just an immediate return pass, and that was what became the quarterback. I used to think it was something different, but that's what I've been told from someone who I know has had a lot of experience in touch, so I'm going to go with them. So there's a sweeper, and we're taking on that offside player once again, and this middle here, the saving middle, is getting nice and tight because we've just had a try. I know it was New Zealand scoring, but we've just had a try diving in between those middles. So New Zealand want to make sure Australia's not going to do that. But again, Australia thinking one step ahead. Now this is great from coaching staff or whoever came up with this. The dummy half then bounces outwards. All right, and catches that saving middle wrong-footed. There's the bounce. And now look at the distance between them two. All right, and now this player can run into this hole with the winger wide. So it's just picking your player now. The way we defend this, of course, is if this player here gets off the line hard when there's a sweeper coming and cutting off any sort of quarterback, they're in a position where they can just touch that player as soon as he gets past the ball. So we continue to play there. It's just, I like it how he didn't pass the ball straight away. He didn't panic. He realized that he had a bit of time and he gathered some momentum with some running. Because, like, if you start running there, you might find that you're going to score yourself. And the last thing you want is being able to score yourself and throwing an unnecessary pass. All right, so we're dumping on the link here. This is an interesting one. So I'm guessing they're trying to do a Waikato. Sports Trend have a good, very short video actually on a Waikato play. It's a New Zealand run play. Kind of like that sweeper play we saw where they bounced out. Okay, so you can see in mixed we've got a high link up. Mixed predominantly run, especially in this era, they ran the eye defense. So we have a high link and a high middle, and one middle usually stays back. So what Australia are doing is they're going to dump on the link and make it look like a punish. All right, so he's getting in that inside shoulder because he really wants this guy to pull corner, or he wants him to overcommit in some way. Okay, so it looks like they're running a punish, but then they sort of take off this way a little bit, and he starts angling back in again to make this defender flat-footed and think that there's an inside ball coming. Because I guess if you push them out, they probably think that you're creating space to score in this gap here. So the dummy half takes the middle away, gets this guy away from the play. The guy who dumped the ball starts angling back in, but there's not really much of an angle change here. It ends up being just like a punish, but it's the actions of that dummy half running back to the open side. And you can see this guy, they're all looking at the guy with the ball. No one's looking at him. Wow. I'm going to do that again. Now it looks like a peanut or something. Not a peanut, a hazelnut or whatever nut that looks like. Yeah, so it's the actions of the dummy half that really just open up the space for him. So it's kind of just like a punish, just with a little bit of extra work from the dummy half. Parramatta run that really good on one of my game analysis against Doyleson. So middle. Again, it's one of the most basic plays in touch football, but it's really easy and it's really effective. So again, we split the way, allowing our dummy half to take on the offside player. They run this way, get him to turn his hips, and just as the player's starting to commit to pull their corner, they step back and they take on the 4-on-3. And it's very textbook the way he does this. He goes to the short side, steps. And we attack this player for that exact reason. It's so hard to change your angles when you're running back on side. So they've stepped, and now it's just everyone lining up their holes. This defender is actually in a really good position. I would rate that 9 out of 10. It's just the read from the pass. Just doesn't quite get there. But it's just good hole running. It's well held up by the ball carrier. I think he does like a little double pump. If I can find it. Let's go have a look again. So he steps. Yeah, and he holds up that pass really nice. It's very, very good. As a defender, like if you're that saving middle here, it's good to identify who's dummy half and who's a live player, like who can and who can't score. Because if that's dummy half, I'm going to step this way just ever so slightly, close this hole up as much as I can, because I know there's no threat of him diving at me. So I want to allow as much space for him to think that he can run through and then make a touch as late as I can. Obviously, you can't do that if they're running a counties or a quickie or anything like that, and he can just dive at your feet. But if it's a dummy half, you probably can afford to just be that little bit wider. Because their only option, if they can't pass it, is to run. Let's have a look at next play. All right, let's have a look at this one. Whoop. Sweeper again. This is a really cool play. All right, so we're getting that inside shoulder. This is a very, very dominant game of middle dumps. There hasn't really been much link. So sweeper attacking the offside player. The offside player usually pulls corner, especially when there's a sweeper come in, because a sweeper gets the ball at almost max speed. And if you're not pulling a corner, you're just going to get burnt on the outside. But our dumper is going to split hard this way, allowing the dummy half to also run this way and hooking this defender to chase with it. So all of a sudden now we have the number 14 pulling a hard corner. Whoa, that went fast. Oh, fast forward. So he's pulling a hard corner. Now all of a sudden this player's got to chase this way, and it's just opening up all that space for the sweeper to hook around and trail on the inside. And that's very good play if you have middles that are making a lot of touches that you believe don't have the agility. Definitely run a player like that, but it's just a little inside ball. It's very hard to defend too. We've got a couple of videos coming out on the best way to defend this sort of attack. But watching the defender again, the number 14, by the time he realizes the play's just running too fast at him. It's very, very difficult to defend that when it's run at speed. So what I would do there, and the other middle does it quite good, is try and stay in the middle of these two players and just don't allow that inside ball. If anything, just let the dummy half run through and try and man on. But yeah, just don't allow that inside ball unless you know that this player's recovered. But if you think he's been burnt, just cover that inside. That's where the easy try is going to come from. And he nearly does it. He got very close. That's the chair. That's not me, by the way. All right, New Zealand hitting back. Very close. 5-4 to Australia. Running that ML play again with the long ball. Very nice hands too. Very good finish. Is that a bunch of referees? I thought it was the referees cheering, but there's a couple of girls in front of them. We're going back to the middle dump though. It's another one of those. This time it's done with 3 boys. Not sure why, but middle, just like the first play. It's like a short side rooster or a 32 peel, but this is a 33 peel. We're splitting open like a middle, but instead of the dummy half running, they're just doing a little wrap play. And it's good. Like, if you can get this done at speed, it's better than a middle because, hey, you can score. So everyone's got to get that just a little bit tighter and cover those gaps. So it's a very, very good play. It was very popular up until recently when the team started running the splitter. And this is a nice line by the link. She's running inwards into that hole, which has probably dragged the winger in and allowed the option for the long pass. Very close, very nice chase, but well executed 33 peel. Some nice speed going into this one. Was that a middle link? Was that a 32? Oh, it's a sweeper. Oh, this is cool. Okay. Look at that bloke. He's having a good time. Must be a New Zealand supporter. And he's doing the ref call too. Okay. Alright, so middle here. This is a sweeper. This is just a sweeper, and it's a really good way to run a sweeper subbing on the field, is you just give it to the middle, that's going to be dumping the ball. You get them the ball as early as possible. You don't worry about silly passes trying to get extra meters. They just find the inside shoulder of their middle and they just run super hard. It looks like the New Zealand team here have sort of mucked up their defense a bit. I think she's just come from this side and is running over. So, yeah, I think the Australia get a bit lucky here, but because this defender is he's pulling the wrong way because he might think that that's his short side. He might think that's his short side, but in fact it's his open side. But again, let's say that is his short side and this is the link, and there's another middle back here. Because he's pulling. Sorry about these arrows. I'm trying to salvage this because they're out of whack with their defense. But because he's pulling corner, this non-existent middle has to be nice and tight to cover him. And Australia just hit back against the grain. But in this case, they just sort of run through because New Zealand's numbers were all sort of shot to bits. So not sure what happened there. I'm guessing the boy and girl link just sort of got trapped on the wrong side and they probably picked the wrong time to try and fix it. Link making the touch, punish. Another tough one. So, I think this is good defense. So Link's being brave. That's good position here. Could be better with everyone else's pre-touch. These girls are really good. They're on the line, ready to move forward. The middles probably could be back a little bit further. Link's pulling a hard corner. That's really good. Middle stepping off the line. The girl's here as well, starting to move in. Probably a little bit wide, but she's off the line. She's almost at the 7 metre line. I think that's a 5 metre line, but anyway. Actually, that's very close. Especially if he's got him on the hips. If you get him on the shoulder, it's probably very different, but it's a nice punish. There's our friend again. If anyone knows who that guy is, leave a comment. That's a nice punish, nice dive. Got plenty of videos on the punish. Australia hit back. There's that double touch again. And the old controversial opinion that I sometimes disagree with people. So there's a sweeper, but instead of getting the middle in front of him, New Zealand do the double touch, and the high middle decides to be brave and make the touch there. So essentially now when you sweep, if he gives the ball off the deck to this number 11 here, he's sweeping into this onside player, which is not going to do you any good unless you're running a late switch off it. It's not going to help at all. So what the number 12 does is he takes off from half and does a little sort of step. So it's good. It basically turns it into like a 32 scoop or a middle link scoop. Because if you look at it now and you imagine there's no sweeper, it looks like this player's just faded for his link. So if you ever see the double touch, feel free to just take off from half. The only issue is this person will have to split really hard because you've got a really tight open side. Because when you sweep and you're doing a middle, play the ball, so it's really central. So you can take off and almost always you're going to try and go short side. But in this case, he's got a nice little bit of footwork and plays back to the open, and they actually allow the dummy half to run through. Now this is where I say, well, there's two things here that I disagree with. I never let the dummy half run through the middles. I never let that. We call that the guts of the play, and we never let players run through the half, run through there. Short side, different story. Check out my video on when to let the dummy half run. But here, because we're wanting everyone to step off the line, as soon as they get through, like an earlier try in this game, it's pretty much toast. The other one is, and you can see here he finds the girl pretty easily. And the other one here is diving at the dummy half. Now, a lot of coaches would say that's an absolute no. And I'm okay with diving at the half. It's a controversial opinion. But what I think here is number 12, he's already started to pick up speed. He's already at a decent speed, and this player here has only taken a few steps from a wrong-footed stance. So if he doesn't dive here, he's probably not going to be able to catch him until here anyway. Whereas if he can make a touch right now, he's saved the play. Now I've seen games where the try-saving touch on a dummy half has been from someone who's dove, and no one says a thing then. People seem to only ever get up in arms about it when they miss the touch. Which, yeah, here they've missed a touch, but I know he did make the touch. Anyway, let's assume that he didn't make the touch. But yeah, I think if I leave it up, especially when you've got some senior players, I leave it up to the judgment of the player. If you feel like at the time the best option is to dive, like if you're not backing your speed to chase the half, dive. Because if you feel like you can't catch him anyway, like that's probably your best chance. But if you've got speed and you're going to run them down quick, run them down. So I don't think that's, in my head, it's a black and white rule that you should never dive for the dummy half, because sometimes choosing not to dive will cost you a try, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, that looks like the end of the game. And it looked like it was a touch. Either that or me cutting this. Unless they ended up awarding that. I'm not sure. Sorry if I've missed a try. I do apologise. I was cutting this footage up quite quickly because I'm trying to get a lot of stuff finished here before I go to the World Cup. But speaking of World Cup, this was won by Australia, the mixed open. So the gold medal went to Australia. The silver medal did go to New Zealand. But I think the men's open as well was decided within 1 point. So it's super exciting to see like what's going to come of these divisions at the next World Cup, and being like in England as well, you imagine that the home crowd's going to get behind their nation, and I think England are going to perform quite well across the board. But thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you're looking forward to the World Cup as well, like I am. Please subscribe to this channel. I'm still going to be uploading videos during the World Cup, and then I'll start doing some content about the World Cup after. But yeah, please subscribe, keep watching. I really do appreciate it. And if you would like to become a member, then you can click join a member. I guess it's in the description. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.